He kicked some of the best goals and sported some of the biggest biceps in the VFL during the 80s. But these days, former Fitzroy strongman Micky Conlan holds one of the biggest jobs in footy, charged with growing the game in the Sunshine State as the CEO of AFL Queensland.
I think what primarily my role is to come here and support all of our team and to support the two AFL clubs, the Gold Coast Suns and the Brisbane Lions, and also very much support all the community football and the various leagues and all the volunteers and custodians that we have in the game. So we've had a fantastic growth in the last 10 years, but we want to make sure that we continue that and also work strategically in some of the areas where we're up against some of the other codes.
And those other codes better watch their backs if Conlan's vision for the game in Queensland eventuates.
We'd like to, in the next 3 to 5 years, that if we ask the average football or sports fan out there, what's your favourite sport? And the first choice come to mind would be the Lions or the Gold Coast Suns. We see growth. I think we have clear visions and plans that by 2030 we'd like to be up around about 350,000 participants in this state. Today we're around about 135, bordering on 140. So we've got a long way to go, but realistically, everyone here believes that we can achieve those results.
The 54-year-old also tips a bright future for the Brisbane Lions and the Gold Coast Suns.
We believe strongly that the Lions have a good strategy in place and that by 2015 they'll be very, very strong contender for the flag. So they're going through a bit of a J curve at this point in time, but it's very exciting what they're starting to roll out in terms of their young juniors coming through. The new boys at the Suns, again, very exciting. Certainly, I think we need to build a lot more support around them. They're doing a great job. I think their administration and their off-field team have done a fantastic job. So again, I'd be very confident that by 2014-15, they'll be playing up in the top 8.
Conlan hasn't just worked for the AFL, having held high-ranking positions at some of the world's biggest sporting apparel companies.
Whilst I was playing, I worked in the sporting goods industry. In the old days, I started with Puma, then worked with Reebok, and then spent 10 years at Nike. Then came to work at the AFL for 3 years and then went back to work for Reebok overseas. So primarily out of those 31, 32 years in the sporting goods industry, I spent, I think, around about 12, 13 years living overseas, where I lived in Hong Kong, South Korea, America, Africa, just to name a couple of places.
But Conlan became accustomed to moving around early in life.
I was born in Hobart. My father moved to Devonport to be captain coach when I was 2 years of age, and he was captain coach there for about 6, 7 seasons. Then we moved to Canberra when I was 9, and where he moved there to be captain coach of Manuka Football Club. So I grew up mainly in Canberra, went to school in Canberra.
And those years in the nation's capital could have seen him lost to the game.
Rugby union was the sport that I actually had to play at school. It was compulsory. So coming from Tasmania, I'd never played rugby before, but I actually really enjoyed it. So I played rugby union for the school, Australian rules football on Saturday morning for Manuka juniors. Then I used to play soccer in the afternoon and rugby league on Sunday. Right up to the age of 16 until my father actually said you can only play one sport, what's going to be your choice, and of course that was Australian rules.
But the decision to stick with footy quickly paid off. Conlan signed with Fitzroy prior to the 1977 season, and it didn't take long for him to find his feet.
Well, the first game was in the under-19s, played in, the ground was underwater at Glenferrie Oval, and that was a real shock. And then, of course, the next 4 were in the reserves, and I got the big opportunity to play in the seniors against my favourite team, which was the Collingwood Football Club at Victoria Park. An amazing experience for me personally, so that was my first senior game. After playing about a year on the wing, they decided that they needed someone to be a permanent forward pocket player to Gary Wilson, who was the first rover, and never really came off the ball, so they wanted someone to be able to stay in the forward pocket most of the time, and that's how I got my big start, really.
He didn't waste that opportunity up forward, going on to kick nearly 400 goals in over 200 league games.
Back it goes to Hinch and taps the ball to Conlan. for the knock. Quinlan gets the ball down. It's grabbed by Conlan. Conlan brilliantly gets past a couple of tackles. Still going. Shows tremendous pace. Conlan will straighten up. Have the long shot at goal. The goal umpire underneath indicates the ball.
Short pass. Now there's Conlan breaking clear. And can this fella break clear through a back? And look at him go. And he's thrust another one aside as he fires to the goal. And he just about made the distance. That's a goal. What a brilliant.
Chance for Conlan. He loves a goal, Michael Conlan. And he's kicked it.
Quickly plays on to Conlan. He's got a chance to score a goal now. Oh, he's got it through.
Time on in the first serve. It's McIver. The circle down to half forward, and that's a lion mark for Conlan. 50 metres out, the tank shoot. That could be the quick reply they need.
Yeah, I loved kicking a goal, and I suppose some of my teammates would accuse me of being selfish and hungry. I make no apologies for that. I was one of those players that wasn't naturally gifted, so when I did get the ball, which was on rare occasions, I certainly wasn't going to give it away, especially close to goals.
And that appetite for a sausage roll resulted in a career best bag of 10 against Footscray at the Junction Oval in 1984.
He's playing pretty well. Wilson has it. Trying to get him back to the rules, but he gives it to Conlan instead. Conlan runs it for his second shot. 23 from behind and taking it out of here, and then dropping it, and Wilson and handball got onto Micky Conlan. It's a great left foot shot into
Micky Conlan, he finished up with 10 goals, and I spoke to him in the Fitzroy rooms after the match.
Mick, congratulations on your game.
Thanks very much, Peter.
Is that your best effort?
Yes, it's the most I've ever kicked, yes. So desperate in need of a good game after playing poorly last week, and you know, the whole side in general has been down, so we're just desperate for a win, especially here at the Junction Oval in front of our home crowd.
Some players certainly said that I did go to my head a little bit. After that they said that I got more selfish, but in all jokes aside, look, I was very lucky on that day. I played around some great players, and I think one of my famous quotes I always use, that playing next to Bernie Quinlan, Dave McMahon and Gary Wilson was like a pack of seagulls going for a loaf of bread. And that's what it was like when the football came down in the forward pocket, but that day everything went right for me and I was very lucky.
Despite winning Goal of the Year twice, one major in particular stands out as his best.
Conlan's got it. He could kick a goal to put him in front. He has. They're in front.
By a point.
By a point. And they might have won the game here.
What a sensation.
Oh, well, he's only at a top.
The best goal for me personally was probably the one in the finals match against Essendon, which put us through to the next finals match against the Sydney Swans. And that was probably one because I was having a terrible day and I felt I was letting the team down. So to be able to win that ball and get a pass from Leon Harris, who gave me that opportunity to kick the goal, was a dream come true. Well, the only thing I ever get remembered for these days is mainly by Essendon supporters who say, you're that, I won't mention the word, person who kicked that goal and stopped us from winning the grand final that year. But I am very fortunate that at least I'm remembered for something.
The 1989 season was Conlan's last hurrah, and it ended with the Roy Boys' memorable reserves grand final win over Geelong. Although he played for Victoria, kicked many brilliant goals and won the grand final sprint, he has fondest memories of his time at the Junction Oval.
I loved being at Fitzroy, loved the players, loved the Fitzroy club, and I felt very fortunate that I had the opportunity to be able to represent them. So to me, it was never a consideration to play for any other club. I was pretty tribal in a sense that Fitzroy was my club and that's who I always wanted to play for.
When he reflects on the merger with the Brisbane Bears, he could see the writing on the wall back in his playing days.
The club was going through very serious financial problems and it just unfortunately got it worse and worse each year. So it was inevitable for me personally that the club would relocate. What's worked out is, I think, is a great outcome for Fitzroy supporters, that we've got the Lions connection, and I think we're very fortunate that the Brisbane Lions have a very close alignment with the past.
And with the link to Fitzroy still an everyday presence, he couldn't be happier with his lot in life.
My family has a great heritage and history in this sport. So for me to be able to come to work each day, it's very easy for me to roll out of bed because I love doing what I'm doing.
It's a goal!